All right, so sticking with superheroes again, let's finally talk about Batchack Man. Yeah, so little story, right? I got a request similar to like what happened with Infection, where the creator, the director, actually reached out to me to review the first 3 episodes of his show, right? So technically, what we get here is 2 episodes. Well, yeah, the first 2 episodes, but basically we get what is the movie, which technically is the prequel to what happens in the episode that aired before, right? So the episode itself that aired before, I keep saying aired like if it was on TV. No, both of these shows, both these episodes, sorry, are on YouTube, right? So the first one being Batchack Man and the Missing Persons, right? This is our official introduction to the character Batchack Man himself, right? But before I begin, though, Ricardo, apparently you're familiar with the director himself, well, director, writer,
Kinda.
editor, creator, Keon
Yeah,
Byron.
for real. Yeah. Right, kinda. So a few years ago, I worked with like it have this like local wrestling group. Yeah, Trinidad have wrestling groups, right? Apparently. So it's these guys
Yes,
who's
they do.
operate.
You kind of that was a thing like back then though, like sorry,
Yeah,
back in like the 2010s though, but like you don't hear about it these days. I'm not saying because of COVID, but you just don't hear about them though, which is weird.
because of COVID. Like COVID, shut that shit down. Serious. But no. But yeah. So these guys operate. They operate out of Tacarigua. They they're pretty entertaining. Like I went to a couple shows and then I did a film with them. It was alright. It came out. The final product came out okay, which never sees the light of day, but it came out alright. Just you take my word for it, right? But uh, what I've noticed is that the all of the creators of this Batchack Man show seems to be in this because I was watching them, I was like, wait, I know this guy face, I know this guy face, and I look up the name, I was like, oh right, I know you from this. So yeah, apparently it's when I look into the credits, it's New Evolution Wrestling. These guys, it's a little wrestling group we operate out of Tacarigua, and well, he was the kind of the filmmaker type around amongst the group. So apparently he finally put out his thing. Like, all right, cool, we go. I'm gonna see what's going on. That, by the way, this is the only reason I give it a chance, because, like you said earlier when he was off mic, you kind of get the fatigue, right? A little bit of the little bit of the film fatigue, local film fatigue, right?
Yeah, which I'm gonna address in a bit, right? But
Right.
so what the first episode, as in Missing Persons, is about, right? It involves, well, like just like these series of kidnapping slash murders of innocent women in different parts of Trinidad, right? And this guy, who's played by Keon, who believes this to be part of some sort of like supernatural plan, some sort of big scheme that's going on, basically, right? Basically, 41 women, I believe it was, were killed, basically. So here, he's trying to find out what's going on, right? And it leads him to encounter some goons, right? Some mystic powered goons, some supernatural powered goons, right? But what the show keeps alluding to, well, the series itself keeps alluding to, to basically to folklore characters, right? So there's mentions of Sukuya and Buck and what's the next one, Laja Bless and stuff like
Yeah.
that, right?
Right.
And it's kind of hard to figure out whether they are those characters or if it's just that it's just some demonic force that's kind of propelling them to do things. Because I believe in a particular point, one of the mastermen was like someone who died before, something along that line. But yeah, basically, this guy now enlists the help of these two women who are called oracles because basically one has the power to see in the past, the next one has the power to see in the future, and he himself is revealed to be Batchack Man, right? Which is this character who dresses in this black jacket. He has this gimp-like mask,
No, it's a
and
Mexican
or
wrestler.
those
Yeah.
luchador mask.
Lucha
Oh,
mask.
okay.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's a luchador mask. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
It looked kind of gimpish because of
Yeah.
the
The black,
mouthpiece. Yeah,
because of how black it is. That is what happened to it.
yeah,
No, why?
yeah.
So when I was doing my film, my main character also had a luchador mask. um,
Okay, okay.
yeah, I was
Yeah,
at
and
first while I
I
was
think it's
saying,
because sorry, I think it's because it's leather as well too. 'Cause I
yeah, but
usually associate luchador masks to be not leather, if you
right.
understand. Yeah.
No,
Right.
anyway, what the thing is, the only difference with this is that, well, the only difference between mine and this is that mine have no supernatural element. It was just a crime fighting thing. So the guy was just
Right.
using his wrestling skills, right,
Uh-huh.
to be a crime fighter. No? So because he's so acrobatic or whatever it is, that whole bad. No? It's like,
Right.
oh, what if Batman but wrestler, right? You know,
Yeah.
or what if, well, more like what if Robin but wrestler? Remember Robin was acrobat.
I know.
So
Yeah.
like, right, that's
Right.
the premise.
Yeah.
Well,
And just to get into the in the second film, which is The Power of the Herbalist, right? This is a much longer film. It's roughly half the runtime of the twice the runtime, of the first film, right? This one is the prequel to what I mentioned earlier, right? We get a bigger backstory in terms of how Batchack Man becomes Batchack Man, and it basically involves him in this. Well, we're gonna, for the sake of the show, we're gonna call it forest, right? So he ends up in the forest. There's these, well, green ants basically that bite him. One of them bite him, and and it infects him, right?
yeah, the
And then
origin story.
there's this mysterious mystic man who saves him, right? And he just winds up, be just with his drawers on basically, right? Just kind of just perplexed as to what's going on, right? He returns home to his girlfriend, and he's just kind of wondering what's going on. And then, yeah, well, eventually he kind of realizes, hey, I could sense just working with the film here,
Yeah,
bad mind, right? So basically,
right.
it's him knowing that, hey, there's someone close to me that's doing something nefarious, and I must stop him with my, my wrestling slash martial arts skills, basically, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, he puts on this. Well,
Well, I mean, it's no different from a spider sense, though. So it's like whatever.
exactly.
Right.
He realizes this. He has this little epiphany, if you will, trying to save this news reporter who is robbed of a purse, right?
Right.
And this little fight scene, and literally there's a line which I felt was thrown in for last, but I had to see because it's kind of funny when you think about it. Boy, I real strong, boy. Best I go
Right.
and fight crime.
Yeah, it's basically Spider-Man. I mean, that's
Yeah,
basically
yeah,
what it is. I mean, he's a literal insect. You know, his powers thing. That's what it is. You try to just do the Spider-Man thing.
right.
Yeah.
So yeah, so while all this is going on now, we have this Tobias Wheel-esque bad guy
Yeah.
who
Yep.
is called OH, aka the original herbalist, right? So, yeah. Um,
I don't know if
well,
that's a Trevor Sayers joke or something.
boy,
Yeah.
it could be. And yeah, his goal, basically, his mission is to seek out this particular mystical herb, if you will, right? 'Kay, yeah, his shtick, although they don't really show it, they just kind of state it, is that yeah, he acquires these medicinal herbs and basically uses them as drugs and has these guys sell them on the streets, right? And all that kind of stuff, right? He makes money off of that. So there's one in particular that is so incredibly potent and all that kind of stuff, right? And yes, it does relate to our hero, right? So yeah, he's trying to search for it. Now he hires this hitman guy who is, well, henchman basically, Mendez, who is played by Fidel Guerra.
Right. Mm.
Who by the way delivers the best performance
Right.
in
Yeah.
like
Yeah. No.
the
Right.
show
That's the
period.
thing. Fidel is like an actual like theater person. Like
I
yeah.
know,
Exactly.
yeah.
Right.
So yeah, that's really what it is, right? And then, well, of course, it's just our hero kind of realizing, hey, this is bad guy who's more or less funneling all this drugs and all this crime in this area, and I have to do something about it, right? So how we mentioned before about local film fatigue, right? So for the over the past few months, guys, I have covered Magnolia, first three. Well, sorry, I should say the two episodes that came out this year. I reviewed Infection, and I reviewed this here, right? And it's how to say it, right? It's one of those. Okay, so just to kick things off, right? This is it's actually kind of fascinating how these shows are are springing up, sorry, because it feels more like like the independent scene, like the B movie scene
Yeah.
in the United States, for example, way back
Yeah.
like in the 50s,
No.
right?
No different from that. Yeah. No
Right.
different.
But the issue is that in the States now, it was, oh, you have this studio system that cranks out all these big budget Technicolor Cinescope films.
Yeah.
All right, well, I don't really have that kind of money, but I would love to make that film one day, a film like that.
Right.
So in the meantime, let me just make this small film, and it makes some money, and you get it gets the high ups attention, right?
Right.
That's how those things work, right? And if it don't work well, it becomes like a cult film in years to come, right? Here's something different, right? Because unfortunately, we don't really have a film industry. I would actually say right off the bat, we don't have a film industry here, period, right?
Right.
We have the illusion of it, but no, we actually have a film festival. A film festival is not a film industry, right? Just saying, right? So it's basically these filmmakers, these aspiring filmmakers, kind of going up, kind of going against what
Well,
we
right.
got
So,
from that festival, basically.
yeah, exactly. Well, the thing is, actually surprised that nobody do the equivalent of a Canon films or something like that. No.
I know, right?
Right. Where yeah, just give a little bit of a budget to crank them out, but it's just a bunch of shit films, really bad stuff overall.
Right.
But
And when we say canon films, we're talking about American Ninja, Missing in Action,
yeah,
stuff like that.
exactly. Right.
Oh, even the Delta Force.
I forget the creative. I forget the head of Canon films. What's his name
Is
again?
well, I just know surnames. It's Golan and Globus. These
Okay.
not Jewish. They were like Middle Eastern
Yeah,
guys.
they were
Yeah,
Israeli, I think.
Israeli. Right.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. But I know you talk about, right. And yeah, in a way, they kind of help shape the schlockiness of
Right.
80s action movies, right? For better or for worse, right? Yeah, so like I feel like this is something fascinating here. I mean, like just these filmmakers coming, and I mean, not saying this is something new, but this happening ever since Jeffrey Allen and his
Right.
his
Right. Right.
value
Right.
movement and all that kind of stuff, right? But here it feels like just like more just keep popping up, and I feel like it has nothing to do with the pandemic at all, but I just feel it's just, hey, I have a camera, I have an
Yeah.
idea, let me just make this thing now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how it is. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, not none of this is surprise, and I kind of foresaw it in the last, like around the time where I was, where I did the film, where it's like, yeah, people gonna be just coming up, and everybody and their mother gonna be want to do a thing, and hey, I have a kind of an idea, and especially with the turnover rate, because that's the secret. Nobody cares about actual objective. This thing called objective quality. The secret is turnover rate, right? If this stuff could make money, right? If I could sell it for dirt cheap and then bring it back, you could make money. That is the
Right.
secret. Most of this. What you call him? That fellow who finance Get Out. I forget the name. That company, small company.
Oh, Blumhouse.
Right. That is a day. Yeah,
Right.
that's the trick right here, right? It's men like that. And
Right.
if you could know how to sell yourself, market to who, small market, and you can get into all the little intricacies of film marketing and global marketing. Especially in today's world where you'd be surprised where it is making money now. And because of streaming services and the internet. I surprised that we don't do anything, jump on that now. I mean, that in itself is still big money and it costs a lot. But you can make it work.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if you make a product that kind of interesting and you make it kind of interesting and appeal to thing, it can't be too low budget. It had to be good, competent-ish enough, right? Still kind of goofy, not Neil Breen bad, but a day. It a wrong day, right? A little half-ass on some of the special effects, but it's clearly some effort and technique going into it. You could make some decent cash out of the whole thing. Like, who I'll compare it to? The guy who did Santana, right?
Yes. Roger Alexis.
Right. It's marginally competent. It still looks a little amateurish. They could clean up some of them back shots. Little blowout, whatever it is. But it has a structure. You could watch it. It's funny. It works, right, for the most part.
Yeah.
If you could have something like that.
And the diaspora, you know what I mean, outside
Exactly.
of
Exactly.
Trinidad, know
Exactly.
who Santana is, right?
Exactly. And once you do that's your bag right there.
Right.
And with the sad part about these local shows is that none of them really cracking that ceiling just yet. Including Batchack Man, right?
Yeah,
Because
included this one here, unfortunately, right? But
right.
all right. So I don't want this to be this whole think piece about what
Nah.
local filmmakers should do, and blah blah blah. This is just
Nah.
my opinion. I'm just trying to keep things as short as possible, right?
Right.
So I love the fact that you brought up money, right? Because
Yep.
yeah, you know what I mean. We could laugh at all these like schlocky 50s, 60s sci-fi or horror films and all that kind of stuff, right? But they were made to pretty much make money. They are products, right?
Yeah.
They were put into drive-ins and theaters, all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
and they made money, right? Sure, they might be shut upon when they came out, but it continued to generate money through
Yeah.
screenings, all that kind of stuff, right? So because again, this is just my opinion, we still have yet to even figure out how to do that shit.
Well,
Although
okay,
I would
so
make the argument, that we should have figured that out a long time
no, well, we
pre-COVID.
here's the
But
problem. Some of us have figured it out. Some of us, I
right,
would argue, have figured it out. Like, but what happens that as I say, you get you art up your ass. Unfortunately, those who have figured it out still want to bite more than they could chew. And
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
right, yeah, right. So, the sad part is that I'll say the old joke about it is that if you want to work within, if you want to make money from movies, if you want to work within the system, and you want to get a job in filmmaking, you go to film school. But if you want to make films yourself, you go to business school. That's the
yeah,
running joke,
yeah.
right? And that's the problem we have is a lot of guys who think you go to film school to make films. That's not true. And I do think a lot of these guys just need to have a good business sense. I mean, for all the little critiques with this hit we boy, Ansel kind of nail it. He understand what's going on. He get it.
Mhm.
He actually
Yeah.
expanded himself in very intelligent ways. For what
Until you get it, but you get it.
yeah, no, but you understand, as I say, you understand the assignment, right? That's the joke, right? That's the new meme the kids will say, apparently, right? He understands the assignment. He gets that you have to spread yourself out, forget the quality or whatever it is, that has come after, and then you put yourself in a space where you could actually think. And you know who's the number one poster child as this? All the shit we hit him. I have a problem with a lot of problems with his movies, but Tyler Perry, right? That's the Tyler Perry model, right? You put out products, they're not all that good, right, in an objective art quality, brilliant art sense, but
Hmm.
it has a good turnover rate, and that's why he's a billionaire today. Sorry, that's the
Exactly.
answer. That's the answer.
Yeah.
Exactly. The probability of you doing both is highly unlikely. Very few filmmakers could get away with both. They still have to play within the studio system, then do their own thing when they get a chance. Right. The only person who kind of break the cycle as a filmmaker, is Christopher Nolan. Right. Kinda. Right.
Yeah.
But he still
Yeah.
operates within the studio system, and then he kind of markets himself as a person, as a main filmmaker. In fact, to be honest, just last point, and I'm done. And then we'll talk about the shit itself. I think Christopher Nolan is the model template for a lot of filmmakers coming up as a person because he works within the system. Granted, he's a very talented filmmaker, for better or for worse. But then he knows how to put himself out there. And the idea is to be free from the system, right? Sorry to say it. Look,
Right.
I like Disney and everything, but yeah, they're kind of slave drivers. Sorry to say it.
Yeah.
Uh, and you really don't have no control of what's going on. Um, but yeah, for Batchack Man itself, a little too amateurish. A little too
Yeah.
amateurish.
It
Um,
it,
I,
it is.
I could tell if it was just rushed because it's longer than it should be, right? So I felt it needed a lot of trimming down, and you could have trimmed it down and then focus on the quality and little coloring or whatever it is after the fact. Here's another thing for local filmmakers: start using DaVinci Resolve like for your editing. It's
I
free.
know, right?
It's free. It gives you a lot of good coloring, and you can actually make it look decent and half professional. And if you want to buy it, it doesn't cost all that much. That's another industry controlling people thing. Sorry to say, but the whole Adobe suite is complete nonsense, right? If you have the money and you
Uh,
have the resources, use the Adobe suite. Great. But if
yeah.
you don't have the budget, but you want your stuff to look decent and kind of not half bad professionally, use DaVinci. It is free. You don't need a big graphics card either for it. It have ways to get around its supposed hang-ups in terms of, oh, you need this big graphics card to run DaVinci. Not true. They have all kind of little ways and hacks and film hacks and little tricks. And the we call it the online lot thing, you could get literally hundreds of lots that are quite good for free, right? A lookup table, if you know what that is, that's in coloring, right? That little stuff, just slap it on a lot to a project, just look good. You don't have to do anything, just slap the lot on and learn to use the program. It's not hard.
Yeah.
But this stuff just looking like it edited in Windows Media, something now. That's the problem with this now. It really
All
not
right.
looking like it was edited in any good NLE software.
All
For
right.
what it
So
is.
so
Yeah.
so this message was brought to you by DaVinci, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah.
By
I shilling
DaVinci
for
Resolve.
I a
Yeah.
shill for the VG, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it
go on,
really
go on.
have much to say for this. I think in for what it was. It was a little too long. It's not again. Camera angles just static. Again, these people refuse to move around the camera for some reason or the other. So you just have these kind of boring static shots. It have a lot of dot angles, which kind of work sometimes, but they needed to like sit down and get. That is the trick. Another trick to this: get your cameraman to be moving as fast as you do, because I've seen this guy in person athletically move about. He's very talented at that. When it comes to moving about, like athletically, it's great. You need to have your cameraman moving as fast as possible. I recommend studying the filmmaker of what's his name? Garrett Edwards. I want to say Garrett
Yeah, yeah.
Edwards.
Who? No, Garrett Evans.
No, Garrett
No,
Edwards.
Edwards. Edwards.
Ed,
Oops, oops.
yeah, I
Who did
want to say Garrett
Creed?
Edwards. Garrett Edwards is the creator of. Let me just check it up. He is the creator of.
Creed?
No, yeah, Raid. No,
Yeah,
Garrett Evans. Edwards is
sorry,
Star Wars.
sorry.
Who's
Edwards, right? Edwards did
is
the
Star Wars?
Godzilla film, right? Yeah.
Right, Godzilla and Star Wars and Rogue One. No, yeah. Garrett Evans. So you're right. You're correct. Yeah, you were correct.
See,
Yeah. Okay, right. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
How to move with the camera. Like just figure out a way to get you diving about, moving about. It have a lot of great all these little things to keep your camera stable. But you yourself had to be bouncing about, Judd, with your actors. And if you could get like little quick shots of characters flipping and you're a wrestler, you're already a wrestler. Get it done. Like you already have that part. Figure out like you and the cameraman have to be doing the wrestling moves in concert with each other with the third actor, whoever the third fighter is. But for what it was, I had fun. I was entertained. Just be clear, I had a few glasses of wine in me at the time, so that helped. Um, but I was watching all the faces. They're like, oh yeah, you was a wrestler, and you was a wrestler. And it's like, yeah, this guy was a wrestler, but he was also a rapper at one point. I know who it is. I know his face. I'm like, okay, it was alright. It's still amateur hour. Sorry to say it. I can't pull my punches in that sense. But I not you know, be mean spirited to it. I mean making nothing myself, so I can't talk.
yeah. Well, same here too. Same here too.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like I'm making some film and I have my big Netflix series or nothing like that. No. So it is what it is. But there's nothing much to say here for the story or whatever. It is like, get more people on your side. Here's the thing. I do suspect that you're not really getting that much support from the New Evolution people. Because much like how WWE have their own film front, he could get a little more help like on that side. But his project, his buddies, and they don't have that much money, and they get a blight from Hot Shots and Takarigua and whatever it is, right? And whatnot. And that's what it is. But it's still fun, I don't take away from it, I'm sure they have a lot of fun on those sets and enjoy themselves and they don't take things too seriously or whatever it is, right? Great. Do your thing.
Right.
But yeah, I really wish that you could have sit down with this and make it work a little more. The editing is really to me, I find most of it is the post stuff, just the editing and how it cut together and whatever it is. Just little amateur things like for some reason notice the credits was moving at different speeds. Like, was that intentional?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like especially
weird,
the closing credits. Yeah.
Yeah. It moving up, but like some moving faster than the other. Like, is that intentional? Is that a stylistic choice? Maybe. It doesn't seem like it. Little things like that. It's like you could just, there's a little bit of professionalism. But the sad part is that even a modicum, even the semi-professional costs money. And at the end of the day, it's our budget. You got no budget. Nobody gonna get no budget nowadays, especially now.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Right.
So my thoughts, right? Don't worry, I'm not gonna take forever on a day. Just gonna get to the point, right? There, all the stuff that we seen here basically is not, like we not hating on the guy and whatnot, right? Lucky for him, actually, this is a series, right? So there is much room for improvement. That's not to say like it's a one-off thing and that's it, right? It's a series, right? So we could see the quality grow and all that kind of stuff, right? While he himself grows as a filmmaker and writer and all that kind of stuff, right? Because I mean, say what you want. I want to see these things grow and shine and just be great product, right?
Yeah.
But the reason why I was bringing up the whole stuff about B movies and all that kind of stuff, right? That's my opinion. I feel like the issue is that we need to have a standard to meet. Because I just feel like it's just okay. We want to make this. I'm not really sure how we're gonna look, but I really, really want to make this. And you just scrape wherever you can, you put it together, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
So I'll get into what I mean in a bit, right? So story, right? The story itself is quite intriguing, right? I do like the idea of incorporating local folklore into it, right?
Yeah.
But I do wish that, like, 'cause remember, it's not just us in Trinidad and Tobago watching this, but it's the Caribbean, it's other people around the world, right? You have to kind of let people know what a larger bless is, what a sukiya is, right? And
Right.
not seeing
Establish it.
Schumer
Right.
some opening text, crawling text, telling them, oh, the sukiya was this and a larger bless is that, right?
But you have establishing, you have exposition. Just a little five
Exactly.
minutes, I'm sorry, I say a little 15 seconds of exposition. A character will say it's a monster that does blah blah blah, and it does this, and it does some. You'll always have an expository character, right? Some guy,
Right.
right?
Yeah, you
Even at
kind
the
of need
top,
that in a story.
exactly.
Right. Also, one thing that I was hoping to see, but I didn't really see, is, well, the idea of a character called Batchack Man, right?
Right,
Can you see the beauty of, like, like superhero shows in particular, right? They always find some sort of way to kind of justify why this character kind of exists here, or
right.
like, people will just kind of suspend in disbelief for a while and be like, oh, like, okay, like a guy who flies with a hammer and has lightning powers and shit, right? Oh, well, okay, he could save the world, right? And his name is Thor. Thor? Okay, he's Thor, right? And now Thor is like everybody's favorite superhero, right? Same with Iron Man. It's like, oh, he's a guy who flies around in a
Yeah,
suit and he's Iron Man. Okay. Oh, I love Iron Man, right? And we all cry when the man died, right? But anyway, so when you come in like Batchack Man, right? I was thinking that, we in Trinidad now, so I was thinking, well, okay, a character would I kind of call him out and, oh, you look at you, you're a Batchack Man now. Like, literally, there's a scene in the second the Power of the Herbalist, right, where a character asks him, who are you? And literally, a man says, who am I? And I thought a character would come and say, oh, you get a bite from ants, okay, so you're a Batchack Man, and I laugh at
or
it
something
now.
like that.
And
I
then
mean, look,
eventually, one second, then eventually he'd kind of laugh it off and be like, this name kind of sticks though. But
right.
when they go into a fight scene immediately, and a guy literally calls him that, if I'm not mistaken, you're like, but wait now, so how he know that this is his name when the hero himself hasn't even named himself at that point in
Right.
time? So it's weird though, and that's what just I saying. Like, I'm not
I get
saying
the feeling.
change your name, but
Yeah, no,
kind of give a reason why we should, what,
I get.
like kind of justify, oh, why he should go by that name.
Yeah,
Like, just have somebody
I
bring it up as a joke, and
yeah.
then, like, at the after fact, what, this name sticks. I mean, and you run with it now.
Yeah, no, I get the feeling that they want to kind of play it semi-ironically, but it have that problem where it have a lot of people who play it sincere, and then people kind of laugh at it, like it's like Birdemic or something like that, and then they try to lean into the joke and it end up failing because they try to lean into the joke. And with Bataclan, I couldn't tell how much of it wanted to be humor or not. What it was trying to like to me, it felt like they were just trying to play it straight, right?
Right.
Uh,
Which to me is one of the big
but
problems that I have with the show. But go on.
Right, but because you had people like Fidel and them just kind of hamming it up a lot, it was like, well, you could kind of lean into the humor and then make it more funny and kind of ironic and kind of try to do that. But that in itself is very difficult to do. Humor, I would always argue, humor is the most difficult thing to do, especially when to have it long lasting. And
Exactly. Yeah.
one of the problems with this too is that you want to say, am I playing this for what it is, but tell the story for what it was? Is it serious with humor in it, or is it humor with a serious kind of thing with it? Like you gotta play it both ways. It's a difficult balancing act to pull off, right? If you
Yeah.
want to,
Agreed.
in terms of tone, and it's something that you won't pick up until it's time to edit, right? So so that means you have to think ahead of time to do character deliveries and what it is you're going to edit to create the tone and whatnot. All of this stuff you have to think kind of, for lack of a better term, four-dimensionally, right? You have to think in terms of time now. The
Yeah.
projects of what is you're doing, and most people don't really think about it because they just had to shoot on the day, and they just get obliged to shoot it in Gulf City, and they get obliged to shoot in this thing in this parking lot, and so on and so forth. And
Mm.
that's one of the problems with local filmmaking is because it's so seat in your pants. You can't think ahead of time and structure it, unless you're going to make a very long project, and then you get a chance to edit after the fact. Like that's a big secret with most film, right? You just shoot
Mm.
literal hours of film, and then you cobble it together in post, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
That is the local thing.
But
You don't have
yeah.
that luxury, or at least he doesn't have that luxury. With this, yeah, you can tell. So you just
Yeah.
shoot stuff, keep it, and then cut when you have to cut. That's why I was watching it and thinking, especially with the movie. he could have cut some stuff like this don't really cut thing together. There's a lot of editing. But remember, he's what, producer, director, and editor. So
Yeah,
he had
and
about
writer too. Well,
and
yeah,
writer, right?
yeah,
So oh sorry, he's not the producer. I forget who's the producer. It's somebody else, right? Or he co-produced with the other person. I forget the other guy's name.
right.
But yeah, it's Jelani something. That is
Oh,
something.
okay.
Right.
Yeah, so that's few more things before we wrap up, right? So yeah, as I touch on tone, I felt like it really should have established a tone. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. Well, I should say it has a tone though, but I felt like not so much as there's a wrong tone though, but I felt like there could have been a balance basically, right? Because he is going for dark and gritty, right? Which is fine, and just see this right off the bat. I could kind of see him pair with an upcoming character in the Will Ventures universe, as always
Right.
say. I could kind of see two of them paired off, right? Just based
Right.
off what that character
No,
could
no.
offer, right?
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Now this will be a kind of clash of creative effort, but here's the thing. If they merge efforts and you get good choreography people on set with Will Ventures and them, that could be a thing, right? Where you actually like, sorry to say it, Will Ventures and them spending their money on the special effects, and I put them spending their money in quotes, but um one of the things I find, if you don't have the money or you don't have the green screen to do your action sequence, or whatever it is, like, get like good choreography people, and you can't go more than the wrestling people. You just pay him a little thing, and then he himself, and there's another kid who was there. I was really impressed by. I forget his name. Um, what was that boy name? Hyperdrive. I don't know if he's calling himself that as a character anymore, but that guy called Hyperdrive. And yeah, that was like amazing when it comes to the actual like choreography and moving your body about and thing, and then they could be on screen itself, actually have a good choreography sequence. Again, make a cameraman move with it. I think again, all I say in all of this as money quarterbacking, right? I don't know how to control the space or what the struggle is when it comes to money, but make it work. Like you could really get some stuff and have it dynamic. But that's how it is. Yeah. Last point on
Right.
the
So yeah, okay. So that's just few more things, right? Yeah. So I felt like just tone wise, because again, we go in with a character called Batchack Man, and we have Keon play that role, right? I thought like for the most part he was fine, right? But
Yeah.
you want to go dark and gritty, but you have this title now. So I felt like there just could have been like a balance. Like you could have a little fun with it, you know what I mean? Like that'd be overly goofy and silly, but just
Yeah.
kind of put us in how to say a comic book world itself, right? Because
Yeah.
this one really feels like it's really trying to be so real, so realistic, right? With especially with the topic of kidnappings and murders of women and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
which I felt was like real 80s and schlocky for the
Yeah.
wrong reasons, but whatever. I mean, it one thing I really do have to give credit for now is that it does kind of relate to what's going on right now, right? So it kind of makes things a little too serious though, basically, though, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When it should just be this superhero
No,
doing
but
this stuff. not
that's
not,
another
not
point.
saying however to just be all lighthearted and goofy and silly, but no, just be able to balance the grit with the, hey, I'm watching this really
Well,
cool kick-ass comic
if
book
they
inspired
I felt if
show.
they played it, I felt if they played it real, if they played it for real, without the supernatural stuff, it could have probably worked, right? Or at least you dial back the supernatural stuff. So like
Right.
it's criminals, but like the supernatural people, like it's more like CEOs. Like you could kind of play a rich versus poor kind of narrative kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah. I
because
understand.
but so they secretly have powers, but you won't know until like way later. So it's like, oh, it's just a crime thing, and then one character do something kind of weird or something like that. Like, but to me, you should dial back the superpowers thing, because when I was watching it, I thought it was just a straight up crime script. It's like, oh, it's a guy who decided to become a vigilante, straightforward story, and you do something with it, right? But then they didn't do that. They played. I seen all this magic, and I see somebody, conjuring a fireball, and like, what's all this? You need to balance that as well, wherever it is.
Yeah, totally agreed, yeah.
Again,
Um,
we just two shit talkers on the internet, right? So like,
Yeah,
you
I
want to
mean,
listen to
we
us,
don't know nothing, right?
right?
We just watch movies, right? But anyway,
Right,
so let's
right.
just wrap it up though. So yes, I mean, to give credit where credit is due, I actually do enjoy the fight scenes. It's funny
Yeah,
that one scene actually took place in a gym, and he actually
right.
like a wrestling ring. I was like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, right, right.
I
Yeah,
see y'all. But that was interesting, and just You could tell that the Keo clearly was having a blast just playing this guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Especially the moment where he's saving the reporter from getting robbed. With the poster. And why I keep bringing up Herbie the reporter is that it's a touch on editing. There was no need to have a literal news report with her that starts
yeah,
off like a news report that she's seeing the opening, graphics and whatnot. I just have her just say two lines and that's the end.
you know.
There was no need for that. None at all, right? And yeah, I do agree though there are some shots that for me, like one issue I had though was that yes, there are some static shots, there are some scenes that run either too long for it to work though. Like literally there's a scene example with where Fidel's character is walking towards Keon's character, and we literally see him to the point where he walks up where he up where he nearly like reaches him there. I told you that at least see like a reverse shot of him walking, you know what I mean, towards him, but the
Right.
camera is behind Fidel. But no, we're just seeing Fidel walking. And like I say, I
Yeah,
feel like it's a problem that you just shoot this amount of footage, but you have to kind of keep it in to stretch the time of the duration of the film basically. So you have to leave it there, but they didn't have any other alternate shots for that, right? And yeah, so as a whole, right, it's flawed, but I do see room for improvement. That's not us saying that this thing should be dumped and we shouldn't, or at least in Keon's case, shouldn't try to finance his way into making a new episode, right? But last thing I'll say, a few more things I'll say. Well, I should say two more things, right? Why I keep bringing up the whole B movie and film and standards, all that kind of stuff is because all right, cool, we do have an industry, all right, but you like I know you're not just making this because you know I just want to make it. And I know it's deeper than that, right? It has to be no, I see the potential in this and this could be greater and this could take me as a filmmaker or as a screenwriter bigger, right? But you have to impress Dredd. I'm not saying you got to go all out Dredd to impress
right.
me or Ricardo or anybody else watching this, right? But in terms of quality, in terms of like simple things as audio, for example, like
Yeah,
I'm still like there's still moments like actually there's moments throughout where literally they could have used ADR. Like there's one scene in a car park. I was like, you're hearing the humming, you
yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean, from of the area. I was like, all right, well, you try to cancel out the humming, but I still not really hearing the audio, the vocals. There's literally a scene involving a guy like about to go on some vengeance spree, basically against the same mystic guy, and like he's talking normal, and then like as he's
Yeah,
about to finish his line, his vocals shoot up, and it clearly sounds like his different recordings,
yeah, yeah.
and it's there, you know what I mean? So it's those little things and like as I said before with infection, you have to be able to control everything that we are seeing on screen. uh if you're on top of a building and you want to blur out a certain logo, just don't show the logo in the shot, right?
Yeah, those things
You know
like
what I
that.
mean? Things like that, right? Like you have to control all
Yeah,
this in terms of
I find if when you're in a fiction story and you blur something out, that is be super distracting. That
it
is
is
it's
like I saw it,
very
I couldn't
distracting.
I couldn't take my eyes off
Yeah,
it, right?
yeah, yeah. You can't
Yeah.
even.
And not saying don't make a superhero series and all that kind of stuff, but also know your limitations because if we don't bring it up, somebody else will.
Right.
And not saying that you have to make the next Arrow or the next Black Lightning or the next Avengers or whatever it is, right? But just kind of know your limitations, right? Not saying don't make your story because of that, but just know how to work your way around it, right? So we wouldn't have to, feel a kind of way when we see a character pull out a gun and we don't see any muzzle flare. We just hear shots and we're supposed to buy into the fact that the person got shot, right? Even if the character has mystic powers, that's all you'll see. Or if it's audio and I'm trying to hear what's being said and I'm hearing the sound of an AC, even when you try to cancel out that sound itself, right?
Right.
So it's those things, just being able to know in this area where you're shooting. This is my limitation. This is what I do. Fine,
Yeah.
boom, bam, shoot, and that's it, right?
No, like, as I
So
say, the sad part again, all of this stuff would not be an issue if we had something called a union. We don't have a union in this country, and unions
Ex-
address all these little things because you have a cinematographer's this and a grip that and wherever it is, right? But you
yeah.
have no workable organization for film in this country, and because sure, that's so small, I can't see it happening anytime soon.
Yeah,
To be honest.
and the problem with that now, and we'll wrap up. The problem with that now is that again the standard, right? Like there's no film at the moment, right? I can name a few that I've seen that had the potential, but another video another day, right? And that could have been something where these aspiring filmmakers could look at it and be like, okay, cool. I not gonna do that, but I gonna do my version of that. Like, oh, you
Right.
do an art film, okay, cool. I gotta do my superhero film, but I still gotta look at you as guy. Basically like a competition, but not too much like a competition, basically, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you just and basically like we that just the quality of our films grow, but we actually show how viable, how financially viable these films could be, even if they're on YouTube, right? Because again, this is your resume. You're showing people what you could do, right? But if it's of a low quality, though, unfortunately, people aren't gonna buy into it. It doesn't matter how hard how much effort you put into it, though.
Yeah, yeah.
If it just looks and sounds and even written a kind of way, it's just like, well, why do? But
Sound
but
is a big thing. Like I
yeah,
find
and
sound.
and and,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
as you mentioned, boy, sound boy, like we really do need to pick up on sound, right? Like, goddamn, sound. But
Sound bad.
yeah, but there is room for improvement, though, and I just feel like as a whole, we just need to we just need to keep stepping things up, like just keep improving, keep like honing our skills, and just keep just keep getting better in what it is we do, right? And that's when equality will build up, right? So don't just stick in the same old trappings of what you did before, but evolve and get better. And that's when not just your confidence will grow, but people will respond to your films even more as well, and just our films as a whole. And that goes to people who have access to you know real high end software, like editing software and equipment and all that kind of stuff. It applies to all of us, right? But we really can't just stick at this one level and say, well, this is the level we have because we have no money. Like, no, there's really economic ways we could use and figure
Yeah.
out to just step things up, Chad. And it doesn't just apply to the films that were glorified in the film festival, but also to these up and comers, right, who putting this stuff up on YouTube, just hoping
Yeah.
that people notice this stuff. And
Yeah,
yeah, that's
well,
all I
one
have to
thing,
say.
one thing, one thing that is actually quite surprising we have not done in this country is just replicating micro budget filmmaking and quick filmmaking. So it have like these competitions where they'll say, "Hey, you have 24 hours or 48 hours to make a movie. See what you could do." And it's unclear if how much plan ahead you have with that, but the implication is that you could just literally make something that a good short film in 2 days, right? Really,
Yeah.
really good. And it's shocking that we never really replicate that style of like production value. I'm not sure who does it or why, but I can't believe that anybody does this in locally. Like it's not a thing um, in that sense now. And I like the only person who I know who pull it off is myself, right? Actually, like figure out a way to like get something in a short space of time. Here's why
Mm,
how to do it in the shortest possible time limit,
mm.
and that's it. You get it done, and it
Yeah,
actually
and
like come
and
out.
I imagine you're not trying to do something overly over the top,
No, no,
overly
no. It's
elaborate.
it's
Like
exactly.
you know your limits. You know your limits,
Yeah,
right?
because the thing is, filmmaking's history its own narrative and paradigm always was, hey, we had to do this on the cheap, right? It always had. That is not like that's part and participle of the art form, right? Just doing something super cheap. For people just get tied up with the whole Hollywood system, and you need to do Hollywood, and your films need to be 3 months production, blah blah blah, or none of that bullshit. And it's you got to figure out to do the micro thing now because what I would argue, a person who is very professional, no more than me, will disagree with me on this one. But I would argue that we just kind of have this kind of cargo called filmmaking, and I find that's a big problem. Very very few get what it is to do a project as it is. Um, Again, we're not kind of comment on Kieran or anything. Kieran
No,
is
no, 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 no. But
not
just
like
but
that,
just
but
the reality of things, right? So
exactly,
yeah,
exactly, and
right,
they don't know what pond they're swimming in. To be honest,
exactly, yeah.
yeah, whatever, yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, overall though, I do want to see more of Batchack Man. I mean, despite what we said, in terms of the issues, the technical and narrative issues, basically. But I want to see more of this man, and there's room for growth, there's room for improvement. But he just once again, he just needs to be aware of just what's going on, how people respond to things, and just knowing his limitations and just working upon them. And I have a feeling if he does that, yeah, we will get more great episodes in the future. I'll leave the link to both episodes, in down below here. Please do be hard on him. I mean, constructive criticism. And in closing, I want you guys just basically to treat this as constructive criticism. But
No,
basically with us,
as I
just
said,
us like just being aware of, yeah, just how films are made here, and how they kind of just go by the wayside.
Yeah, to be fair, a lot of this was done in the pandemic, right? Or pandemic already started by the time this was filmed. I'm not sure when this was out.
I believe it came out in 2020. Yeah. So yeah, guys, like I said, links down below. Check them out. And yeah, I mean, for better or for worse, let's see what Keon has to offer next in terms of this world of Batchack Man.
Hey, this is Matthew Bailey, and I hope you've enjoyed this segment of the BS Beats and Bailey podcast. If you'd like to hear the full episode, hit up my link tree. On the other side of my head are 2 videos you can check out. Like this video if you like it, feel free to subscribe and hit the bell as well. Thanks for listening, and until the next one, take care. Peace.